everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I am thrilled to be talking to the visionary filmmaker behind the Shazam franchise.
Wow, I'm a visionary filmmaker
Can I say that?
Sure, be a liar.
Right. So listen, man, I'm so happy for you with how the first film was such a huge hit and that you got to make a sequel, but we're at Comic-Con and you were literally just off the Hall H stage. I think you just came right over. So for fans, and the trailer just came online.
Yes. My notifications were like blowing up
exactly
when we were on the stage. So yeah, it's out there now.
So what is it like before you step on stage in Hall H? As a filmmaker, are you like nervous backstage? Are you thinking about your talking points? Like, what is it like for you?
Yeah, I definitely am nervous, I mean, because it's such a big thing, and I'm a big introvert as well. So it's like this day is very draining for me to just like be outgoing and talking to people. But then it's just like, how are people going to react? But in there it felt amazing, with just the crowd reactions and everything. So I'm excited. So the trailer just dropped. I watched it. It reveals a few things that I didn't realize Shazam was going to fight a dragon. Yeah. I'm glad we can now talk about this. Yeah. So Shazam fights a dragon in the movie. He fights a lot of things. Yeah, no, I wanted him to put even more. We got monsters and all kinds of stuff in there. I was like, put it all in the trailer because I just want people to see it. Like, look at the cool stuff we've been making. But yeah, the dragon is awesome. It's so funny you say that because some filmmakers I know talk about how they want to keep things back, and other people I know are like, listen, whatever gets people in the seats, let's do it. Yeah, I'm more like that. I mean, some things it's like you want to keep some twists and turns secret, but you want to show cool visuals, and I think a lot of people also sort of forget some of it, or like they don't know quite the context. So I don't think it like ruins the experience. It's more like just gets people excited. Where are you actually in the edit of the movie? Well, now it's just finishing it up, like all the VFX and, recording the music with a proper orchestra and everything. But the movie is pretty much like the, cuts locked and everything. So it's just finishing it up. Right. So you're literally just waiting on final VFX shots. Yeah. And that's the marathon. It's like hour-long VFX reviews every day because it's just like takes forever and it's so much. But it's looking pretty cool. That dragon. One of the things that people don't realize, though, are how close to the end a lot of movies and TV shows are because of VFX and how many, like all the VFX companies are being worked. It's insane just getting people available to do VFX. It's like because there's so many movies coming out now. It's like a whole, after pandemic and everything, it's just every movie's now full on. Is there one sequence that is really like pushing the boundaries of VFX in terms of, were you nervous to put it in the movie just because of what it was going to rely on? There's stuff with like some of the powers of the sisters that, you see glimpses of it in this trailer, but we're still kind of tweaking and figuring out exactly what it looks like. Where it's, it's hard to talk about without being spoilery, but it's a very big power. When did you first know that Warner Brothers wanted a sequel? Was it like opening weekend that they called you? Pretty much. I mean, it was the first movie just came out, and we were already sort of having meetings about, well, what's the sequel going to be, and trying to figure that out. So didn't feel like there was ever a point of like, oh, is there going to be a sequel or not? There are many ways you could go with the sequel. Yeah. How close did it come to being like another movie versus like the story that you ended up telling? I mean, at first we sort of looked at following the comic book closer, the sort of the New 52 version, because there were new issues of that. But it felt like we wanted to do something more in our world, because the comic book sort of goes way into sort of the fantasy lands and stuff like that. But once we had that down, it was sort of, we wanted to do more with the family, because the family isn't in the first movie that much. They don't even know about Shazam's power. So we wanted to see them all together and just up the stakes and just do more of everything. Can you reveal, I don't know if this is like if you want to or not, so if you don't want to, I get it. Is the movie 2 hours? Is it 2.5? Like, how long is the film? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, I don't know, but it's like you. It's very similar to the first movie. Let's say that. I understand. Yeah. Was this because it's not like a 3-hour movie? No, of course not. But what I'm saying is, like, is there at the studio level, do they sort of whisper in your ear, it'd be great if it was 2 hours? No, in fact, I've actually been told by the studio like we make movies, not run times. So that's sort of how they feel about it. It's mostly about you test a movie, and then if people feel that it could be shorter in places, then you look at that. But no, there's never any mandate of it has to be like under 2 hours or anything.
You've obviously tested the movie. I've heard that you've tested the movie. I'm curious, what did you learn from those screenings that actually impacted the finished film?
It was mostly actually tightening up in some places. Because there's a lot of stuff going on with like monsters and everything, and we had some sequences that were really cool that had a lot of monsters, but it didn't really involve the family, and so it felt like, well, we can probably take that out because people want to see more of Shazam and the family, and even though the monsters just creating havoc in cities are cool too, but yeah.
I like in the trailer, there's a joke about Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Is it tough to put something like that in? Do you have to get permission, or is it sort of like, whatever, we're just talking about movies?
No, I think that was, permission is not a problem. I mean, everyone liked that. And, Chris Morgan worked on this movie. So,
Wait, did he write that joke?
I don't remember who wrote that joke, if it was Henry or him, but it's great. I mean, and it's to Helen Mirren, who is in the Fast franchise.
100%. Listen, I love the tone of Shazam. One of the things that I commend you on with the first film is there's really fun, lighthearted jokes, and then there's some pretty dark stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like with monsters. And how much are you able to do that again in the sequel?
A lot. Like, I like, playing with the tone like that of having, we have the fun stuff, but we also have some pretty dark and pretty emotional stuff. It's a pretty emotional movie, actually. Because it's nice when a movie is like a full meal, it's not just focused on one thing.
So Rachel Zegler is in the movie from West Side Story, for people that might not know her name. And I wasn't sure what kind of role she had in the film until I saw the trailer and saw maybe she has powers.
She does, yeah. I mean, that's in the film, that is a bit of a twist, but it's a pretty early twist. So you kind of had to put it in trailers and stuff because we're going to see, it's hard to hide that in a movie.
Well, that's the thing. Like for me, if something's going to happen in like the first 20 minutes of a film, it's not really a spoiler because it's really early. Like it's not like this is a third act reveal.
No, it's not. So, and we want to show her off, because she's great in this movie. She does some really cool stuff.
Do you just have to ask, does she sing?
She does not. This is the one movie where she doesn't sing. Like, she's, she's in Snow White and West Side Story. And it's like, oh, maybe we should have had her sing, being the one. She probably won't sing in Hunger Games, though. I don't know.
Well, actually,
what?
You never know. There could be like an a cappella moment. She's talking to,
True.
Who knows? So obviously, Shazam and Black Adam are on a collision course, if you will. At some point, they're going to meet up. Have you talked, like, how much is that sort of a conversation that you are a part of to discuss, like, where is this ultimately going? Because there's no way it's going to stop with Shazam 2.
There hasn't really been a conversation about that. I know, like, at the moment, Black Adam is sort of its thing and Shazam is its thing. And then we'll see where it all goes in the future. But I haven't really been a part of any conversations like that.
Making any movie is a challenge, and you're building the infrastructure on how to make the movie. Like, what's the visual language of the film? What is it like behind the scenes? How hard is it to do certain VFX shots? What did you learn making the first film that really helped you making the sequel?
I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, just smaller things. Like, we had so many problems with the light up bolts in the first movie, which we tried to do practically. And on this one, it's like, let's not even bother because it kind of turns into VFX anyway. So in this one, we just, you have some interactive light you put on there, but then do it mostly with VFX because it looks better. I actually like the bolts better in this movie where it is mostly CG rather than the first one where it was mostly practical.
Well, also, the actors don't have to carry batteries this way.
Well, they still did because you have to have some interactive light, but it wasn't as sensitive and like it didn't break down as much because it was like a simpler design.
Obviously, the first film ends with a lot of people getting powers. And in the trailer, we can see that they're sort of not breaking up, but everyone seems to be maybe using their powers and doing their thing. Can you sort of talk about like what the journey is for like the family? Yeah,
I mean, in the movie Billy Shazam, he's trying to keep the family together, but they're, everyone's sort of doing their own thing. They haven't really learned how to work together. And especially like Freddy, he just wants to, I'm going to be a superhero on my own. Like, why do we have to do everything together? So the movie is sort of about them having to learn to work together and be a superhero team.
In the writing process, can you sort of talk about one again? I want to commend you on. I really love the tone and how it's fun and funny and a little dark. Like, talk a little bit about in the writing process how you find that line, and you know what I mean, like keeping that tone because it's tricky.
Yeah, I mean Henry Gayden and Chris Morgan, who worked on the script. I mean, they're the ones who do that. I mean, they're great, and then we play with it on set as well. Just actors and the whole thing. So it's, I don't know. We just sort of do what feels right. And then, of course, always in the edit, there's some tweaking. Like, oh, maybe we went a little too far here and just tone it down. But it's a very collaborative process.
What can you actually tease about the villains and having Helen Mirren? What do you want to tell people about them?
I mean, they're so cool because they all have such different powers. And they're very powerful. I mean, they're gods, which is just really cool to see them come to Earth and really mess things up. And they're such a good team together. I mean, it's a dream just working with like Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren, Rachel Zegler. I mean, it's the best team ever.
How close did you come to another title? How did you end up with the title that you have?
I think that was marketing or something, because we didn't really know. We just like, oh yeah, it's Shazam 2, I guess. But it's then someone pitched like Fury of the Gods. It's like, oh, that sounds really cool. I like that title.
Well, sometimes like I've spoken to filmmakers and they have like 10 titles and they're debating which one it's going to be. You know what I mean? Like
no, this one was easy because it's like, I think I don't remember any other suggestions really. So it's just like, yeah, perfect.
You don't just do Shazam movies. What are you actually working on that you might do as like a next project before you do possibly another DC thing?
Working on a couple of things. I mean, my goal next is to do a smaller kind of horror, thriller, sci-fi, that area. So we have a couple of projects in the pipeline. We'll see which one sort of goes first. But yeah, I'm after 2 Shazam movies in a row, I'm just like, I just want to go back to horror for a second,
Also, the thing that I've spoken to a lot of filmmakers that have done these big movies is you learn a lot of tricks about VFX and things making these movies that really help you when you're making a lower budget movie. And also sometimes the VFX companies want to work with you because they know you'll do another big movie.
Well, that's good to know.
I've heard a lot of stories.
Yeah. No, I mean, you learn so much on every movie, but yeah, you definitely learn things that are applicable and like, well, what's the low budget version of this? And it's just fun to play with new technologies as well. Like we did some of that, LED wall screen thing, which is all the rage right now.
Can I ask what sequences did you use that for?
It was just a couple of ones. It was, they're in the trailer. It was sort of a rooftop thing, and it was like in a museum.
Sure.
And
that technology is crazy.
It's really cool. Yeah. I mean, it just helps with the light so much.
Yeah, it looks natural.
Yeah. No, I love it, and you just get more stuff in camera, even though you do have to fix a lot of things, but you start off from such a better place than with blue screen.
My last thing for you: we're at Comic-Con. Are you walking the convention floor, and if so, what are you looking to buy?
I already did yesterday. Didn't actually buy anything though. I mostly just walked around and looked at things.
Is there anything that like you geek out over?
Yeah, I mean, I was debating. Was a Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck sort of deluxe edition. I'm a big Scrooge McDuck fan. I was like, yeah, but I didn't buy it because I already have the old version.
No, I understand. My thing is I've gotten older and I don't know if it's the same with you, is that there's so much that I want to get, and then I have to remind myself, am I really like,
you gotta have the space for it.
Yeah, well. I'm at that point too, but it's like,
yeah.
Am I really gonna read it? Am I really gonna, am I buying it just to buy it?
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna move or get rid of to get this?
Yeah.
I think that's when you get older, it sucks.
Yes.
These are first world problems. Anyway, listen, man, I want to say thank you so much for coming in. I sincerely cannot wait to see the movie, and hopefully, and I'll say it on camera when it's coming out, maybe we can do a Collider screening.
Oh, absolutely,
in Los Angeles. You're getting an IMAX release, or are you? Do you know?
I think so.
Well, hopefully we'll do it. Hopefully we'll do it in IMAX.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm just going to say thank you.
Thank you for having me.